Hey everybody! Today I would like to review some concepts that we learned on Thursday and Friday. The past couple days and some random days out of the last couple weeks, we've been working on geometry. We have our Smarter Balance test next week, and so to try to help you guys become familiar with some of these concepts, so since we won't cover those chapters until after the test, we've been just reviewing area and perimeter, and some other concepts throughout the weeks. So today is just a review from everything we've learned on Thursday and Friday. Yesterday I had to leave school early, so I wasn't able to tell you guys the last thing that we added to this geometry formula cheat sheet. So that's what we're going to be covering today. And then I'm also going to be going over those two worksheets, the parallelogram worksheet and the triangle worksheet. That way, hopefully it'll help you if you're struggling on one of them, and you'll hopefully be able to finish it. If you have any questions on those worksheets, please let me know, and we'll try to email back and forth or remind message each other so that you can get help on those. So on Thursday, this is what we started filling out in our notes. We wrote geometry formula cheat sheet. We have geometric shapes in this column, area in this column, and perimeter in this column. On Thursday, what we focused on was squares, perimeter, and parallelograms. So if you were not here on Thursday, here is this chart. Please fill it out in the next page of your notebook. On Friday, we started talking about triangles. So just very quick review on these three geometric shapes before we move on to triangles. The area of a square is going to be base times height. So we are always going to be multiplying the base times the height to get our area. And sometimes you're going to see it like this with that dot in the middle between the B and the H. That means multiply. But many times you're just going to see it like this without that operation in between. But this still means to multiply. So area equals base times height. To get the perimeter, we just add all of the sides. So we're going to add this side plus this side plus this side plus this side to get our perimeter. Don't forget, perimeter, think of it like a fence. So in our school at MMS, we have a fence going all the way around the building. So you can think of that being our perimeter. And if I were to ask you how long is our perimeter, you would just add up all the sides. Okay, that's what we're doing here. We're just adding all the sides to see how long the perimeter is. With rectangles, same thing with perimeter. We're just going to add all the sides. This side plus this side plus this side plus this side. And here I have a couple different sketches for rectangles. With squares, all sides of a square are the same, but with rectangles, we have two pairs of sides being the same. So this side and this side are congruent, they are the same, and this side are congruent, they are the same. Or vice versa, these two sides in this rectangle are the same, and those two sides are the same. These tick marks here, they just mean that each of these sides are the same, they are congruent, they are equal. These tick marks here, same thing. One tick mark means that both of these sides are the same, and the two tick marks here say that these two sides are the same, but they're different from those two sides. And one last quick note, these little squares that I made in these corners, that means that this corner is a right angle. So a right angle is going to be a 90-degree angle. And you're going to see that a lot in geometry, okay? It means, if I can get a right angle going here, they are perpendicular to each other. Okay, it's a 90-degree angle. So anytime you see this, squares and rectangles, they always have a 90-degree angle in the corner. Okay. So the area of a rectangle we're going to find by multiplying the base times the height. Same with a square. So our formula is the same. Area equals base times height. And again, I rewrote it without the dot in the middle, without that operation, because many times, especially on questions, you're just going to see it as area equals base times height. All right, moving on to parallelograms. Over here, I drew some different shapes of parallelograms, what they may look like. A parallelogram can really look, there are a variety of images for parallelograms. I just drew some of them here. Some of them you will see in the worksheet that I gave you guys. With a parallelogram, you're going to have two sides that are going to be parallel to each other and are either going to be vertical or horizontal, and they're going to be going straight. Okay. You're also going to have another two sides that are parallel to each other, but they're slanted. They're at a slant. So think of a square or a rectangle that just gets slanted. Okay, so that's kind of what a parallelogram is. So here we have our parallelogram, and to find the area of a parallelogram, you are going to multiply the base times the height. Okay, it's similar to a square and a rectangle, our formula. However, when we're looking at a parallelogram, you do not multiply these slanted sides. These slanted sides are not the height. Okay, you're usually going to have a dotted line somewhere in the parallelogram saying that is your height. Okay, so this dotted line here from one base to the next base shows our height. Okay, so this is our height. To find the area of this parallelogram, we multiply the base times the height. And then again with a parallelogram, to find perimeter, we are adding all sides. So this time we are ignoring height. Ignore the height, you are adding all sides to find perimeter. So we're going to add this side, plus this side, plus this side, plus that side to get our perimeter. Okay? We will go over some examples in a couple minutes. Now, triangles. So this is what we covered yesterday in class. First period, I believe, covered it. Same with second period. But third and sixth period, I'm sorry, you probably didn't get a nice triangle review lesson. So what's important to note with triangles is that a triangle is half of a square or a rectangle. Okay, if I draw a dotted line over here, okay, this dotted line shows the other half of a square or rectangle, right? You could kind of imagine this being a square or rectangle. So that's what a triangle is. It is half of a square or rectangle. Just like if I were to draw a line from one corner to the other corner, we could see two triangles in there. Okay, so the area of a triangle reflects what we just said. So the area of a triangle is going to be the base times the height divided by 2. Okay, so it's similar to all of these area formulas, but it's the base times the height divided by 2 because a triangle is half of a square or rectangle. Okay, so this is how it looks. Base times height times a half. Okay, that's one way it is shown, but I would like to write it the way I'm going to write here, and you're going to see it like written like this a lot as well. So area equals base times height over 2. Okay, that just means we're going to multiply the base times the height first, then we're going to divide it by 2. And that is our area formula for a triangle. Similarly, sometimes if you're given a triangle like this, okay, because we have different triangles. This one, the height was just on the side over here and our base was here. In this triangle, we have our base right here at the bottom. Smudge that. And then our height, you're most likely going to see a dotted line in some of the problems that you've been given. Okay, and this is going to be your height. So if you're given a triangle like this, you're most likely going to have the height going from the very top point, very top corner, to the base, and that's our height. So base times height divided by 2, that would give you the area. To find the perimeter, you're just going to add all the sides. Okay, and I say add all the sides instead of giving you a formula because adding all the sides you could say for any shape, any geometric shape, and it'll work for each shape. If I gave you a formula, the formula may be different for rectangles, may be different for parallelograms, may be different for triangles, and so on. So just saying this general statement works for everything. We're just going to add all of the sides for our shapes to get our perimeter. On Monday, you are going to have a sub. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to be at a conference, so you will have a sub. And I will have a video for you to work on as well as a worksheet. In that video, we're going to fill up this last section in our geometry formula cheat sheet. So keep one space available in your chart. Hopefully you have all this filled out, and just be prepared to watch a video and work on a worksheet on Monday. Okay. All right, so we are now going to move on to worksheet practice. I have this labeled worksheet practice D54 and D55. This isn't formal notes. You are more than welcome to take them though. But you can also, I'm going to be working from our worksheet, so you can follow along in your worksheet, or you can write this down for notes. Okay, the first worksheet we are going to look over is this one right here. This one is D54, okay? They have letters and numbers at the bottom labeling the worksheets. That's why I've labeled it Worksheet Practice D54 and D55. So today, first thing we're going to practice is with parallelograms. So with these parallelograms, like I said earlier, there's many different ways you could draw a parallelogram. And in here we see some standard parallelograms. Over here we see one that is not upright, and so the height we see is sideways. Okay, that's still our height. It goes from one base to the next base, so that is our height. So don't get confused. You're still going to be multiplying base times height to find the area. With this parallelogram over here, they just drew the height on the side, but you could have also drew the height going down the middle there. So let's try, we're going to do number 6 together, and we're also going to do one of these word problems. That way you can get practice with a couple of these. If you feel like you know how to do this 100%, go ahead and fast forward the video to the triangle worksheet. Okay, so number 6. With number 6, we had a parallelogram that looked like this. Okay, so it looks something like that. And on the side, we see instead of them just putting the height from one corner over here to the other base, they made the height on the outside. And they said this height was 1.8 meters. Okay, and then over here we see that the base is 0.6 0.7 meters. So really I could rewrite this or redraw this height inside. So this height is 1.8. So sometimes they might try to trick you with where the height is, but don't get confused. This is the height, this is the base. So to find area, I'm just going to multiply base times height. I'm going to write the formula, base times height. That's what it says on the side to do. If you see, it says to show our formula, our work, and our units. So I'm going to be multiplying 0.7 meters times 1.8. Okay? And if I do this with my calculator, I'm going to have to do it on the side over here. Grab a calculator real quick. Okay, so I get 1.26 with my calculator. So my area is 1.26 meters squared. Okay, don't forget the units. And because we're multiplying meters times meters, you get meters squared. Okay, so area equals 1.26 meters squared. So I'm now going to look in my answer bank over here, and I'm going to look for 1.26. Okay, and I see it right here. It has the letters RE, so I'm going to cross that off. Just like this. Now I'm going to look for the perimeter. So my perimeter, it also tells me that the perimeter of this side is 2 meters. Okay, so I'm going to add up all of the sides. And I know that in a parallelogram, this side and this side, they are the same. So this is 0.7 meters plus 0.7 meters. And this side and this side, they are the same. So this is 2 meters. That means this is 2 meters. So I'm going to add, for my perimeter, I'm adding 2 plus 2 plus 0.7 plus 0.7. And my perimeter equals 5.4 meters. Now I'm going to look in this section for that answer. So I see that answer right over here in the corner has the letters PR. I'm going to cross that off. Okay, so now I've crossed off those two. I also have the answers for number 1. It was done as an example, and those are crossed off as well. So you're going to work through this whole worksheet, answering every question. Once you get an answer, you're going to look for it over here, cross it off if you find it, and then whatever is not crossed out at the end, you're going to write those letters in the spaces right over here, and it should answer the question that we have at the top here. Okay, one more example I wanted to do. I wanted to do a word problem. So let's do number 9. So the area of a parallelogram is 60 feet squared. Okay. Okay, so in number 9, we know that the area is 60 feet squared. I'm going to write that down. Make sure to underline or highlight or write down any important information. Area equals 60 feet squared. The height is 5 feet, so I know the height. And it's asking how long is the base. So if we think of our area formula is area equals base times height. Okay, we know what the area is, and we also know what the height is. So we know two values for our variables, and we still have one variable that we don't know what it is, but we have to find what it is. So instead of an a, I'm going to replace the a variable with 60 feet squared. And instead of the h, I'm going to replace the h with 5 feet. Okay, so now I have 60 feet squared equals the base times 5 feet. Now I'm going to run through what we did in Chapter 7. In Chapter 7, there were 3 things that we had to do. Well, 4 if you want to include our check. First, we had to identify where the variable is. Our variable is right here. It's b, the base. Second, we have to identify what's happening to our variable. So what's happening to our variable, or what operation is happening, b is being multiplied by 5 feet. So I know that b is being multiplied by 5 feet. Now I have to undo what's happening to my variable by using inverse operations. Again, inverse operations are just the opposite. So since my variable is being multiplied by 5 feet, I'm going to use the inverse of multiplication, which is division. So I need to divide by 5. Okay, to undo what's happening, divide by 5. So I divide by 5 feet on both sides. Okay, so now I just need to do 60 divided by 5. And I get 12. So these cancel out, right? 5 over 5 is just 1. 1 times b, I just get b. And 60 divided by 5 is 12. So I have 12 feet. So b equals 12 feet. That's my answer, okay? And if you were wondering for your Chapter 7 test fixes how to show your work, this is exactly how you should show your work. Okay, I'm showing what I'm doing on both sides of the equation, which shows I understand the properties of equality. And I'm just going step by step showing what I'm doing. Okay, so that's how you solve number 9. Now let's move on to D55 worksheet. Oh, I would also, after you've answered it, look for your answer over here. So our answer was 12 feet. And we find it right here. It's the letters NT, so I would just cross that off. Okay, almost there. So this was our worksheet from yesterday's, from Friday. So on Friday, I gave you guys this worksheet. Same thing we did on the other worksheet, but this time, instead of having to find area and perimeter, you just need to find the area. Okay, find the area of each triangle, and you have 2 word problems at the end. This time you're given some statements said by Tom, and with those statements there's some blanks right next to it. So we have to figure out what exactly Tom was saying, and here is our answer bank. So every time you answer a question, you find the area, you're going to come over here to this side, you're going to look for your answer. Let's say your answer for number 2 was 24 inches squared. I don't know if it is. I'm just saying, let's just say it is, okay? So answer for number 2 is 24 inches squared. So we are going to cross that off. And over here, we're going to look for number 2, because that's what we just answered. We're going to look for the number 2 in these spaces. I see the number 2 here. So I'm going to write the letter T in right over here. That's how this puzzle works. Okay, let's answer a couple of questions. So we are going to do, let's do number 11. Okay, again, we're just working with our triangle formula. Okay, with number 11, we have a triangle that looks like it's not right side up. It looks like it's upside down. So let me sketch it real quick. Okay, so our triangle looks something like that. And it gives us two numbers. The first number it tells us is that our base is 4.5 kilometers. Okay, it also tells us what our height is. The height goes from this corner to the base. Okay, so this is our height right here, and our height is 1.4 kilometers. Now, we are going to do what the worksheet says, and we are going to show our formula, work, and units. So the formula for a triangle is area equals base times height over 2. So my base, 4.5, I'm going to replace the b with 4.5. Okay, and my height is 1.4, so I'm going to replace the h with the height, which is 1.4. Okay, now you need to divide it by 2. Don't forget to do this, dividing it by 2. That's part of our formula. So I'm going to multiply 4.5 times 1.4. And I get 6.3. Area equals 6.3 divided by 2. Now I'm going to divide this by 2. And I get 3.15. Well, so my area is 3.15 kilometers squared. Anytime you are finding the area of a shape and you're multiplying kilometers times kilometers, because that's what we're doing, right? 4.5 kilometers times 1.4 kilometers. Your units are going to be kilometers squared. Okay, so you would go over here to the side. You would look for 3.15 kilometers squared, and I find it right here. It has the letter X. Okay, so next to the letter X, I'm going to put number 11 to say that that's what number I just got the answer for, right? So it's letter X. So I'm going to look for an 11 everywhere here, and I see an 11 there, so I'm going to put the letter X. Okay. All right, let's do one more. Let's do a word problem. So I know number 14 was a little confusing to some students. I'm not going to completely do number 14. I'm just going to explain it a little bit. So in number 14, it said a square dinner napkin, 8 inches on each side, is folded along its diagonal. Find the area of the folded napkin. So we know that we have a square napkin. Here's my square napkin, and I know that it's 8 inches on each side. Okay, it's 8 inches on each side. Now, I also know that I'm folding my napkin from one corner to the next corner so that it's along its diagonal. So I'm going to fold this corner over, and I'm folding along the diagonal. So that means after I fold it, my napkin is going to look like a triangle, okay? And since I folded it over and it looks like a triangle, I still need to remember that all the sides are still 8 inches, okay? 8 inches up here, 8 inches down here. I don't know what this diagonal, I don't know the length of the diagonal, but that doesn't matter to me because I'm really only looking for the height times the base and then divide by 2 for my area. So here's my height, here's my base. I'm going to multiply those, 8 times 8, and then divide it by 2 to find my area. That's how you do number 14. Okay.